Welcome back, everybody.
What up, niggities?
Welcome back.
Number 26.
25 or 26?
26, because last time it was quarter of a million. Or quarter of a
Quarter of a million?
Quarter of 100.
Quarter of 100.
Quarter mil.
Yeah, we tried. We were gonna get one camping over Saturday, but
Yeah, in camping with that was a intense time. We'll have to get more into depth about.
It was very good, but what we realized while we were camping is that the podcast is for when we feel like the podcast is needed. It's not necessarily when we plan it every time. It's more or less like when we all feel it.
Well, and it's like at least me personally, me especially. I don't know. Maybe fucking a lot of people feel the same way. I'm positive, but me, when something feels like a
chore.
Like a chore, or like I have to do something to make somebody feel satisfied. It's just not what I'm aiming for, and I want to do this to make myself satisfied, and I want to do this to make my friends and family and all the people who are listening satisfied, and I don't think I'm gonna do that unless I'm satisfied with what I'm putting out. And if I'm not in the right state of mind to put that out, I do not want to put it out for everybody, because that is just disrespectful.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense, because it's what we're putting out as a podcast is more or less a song. You know, it's a big song that just is a longer song, that it doesn't have a beat. It's just a different form of a song.
That's true.
But anyways, so today... So today, we have Rachael Hernan on our podcast today.
The nigga.
Hi.
The nigga.
The nigga. She's the nigga, so...
She's the nigga.
Aww.
And yeah, I don't know. Me and Rachel go back. Alex and Rachel go way back. Like way back, and Jerrick and Rachel, what did you guys
Don't
meet?
go back at all.
Ever?
met her a couple times. The first time I met her, I think, was when we went camping together.
Yuba.
Yeah, Yuba.
Oh, what, Yuba? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
This is a great time.
that was a good night.
Another great camping trip.
Where Wallace got
Lighted.
where he got enlightened, and we had
Except in the
to.
morning, no, you guys already disappeared and we couldn't find
Yeah,
you for like
exactly.
hours.
Because I was invited. Because okay, so this is what happened.
We
Okay.
just disappeared from everyone.
So we were having a great night, and this was the night that Circle Pound was introduced to Jerry.
To Jerry, we
And,
were all familiar.
Yeah, we were all familiar with it, but Jerry was introduced
I
to
was
the
a
Circle
newcomer.
Pound. And we were having a great night. We prepared for the whole night. But then along the night, okay, we all took tab. And
I
so...
didn't.
No, we all took
Oh, you
a
did?
microdose.
Okay, we all
I
took a
was just
microdose.
drunk.
Yeah, it was like a
I didn't.
half or a quarter of that. And so, like, throughout the night, we were having a great night. Like, we... And Devin was there, and I didn't really hang out with Devin much that time. And like we spit together, and like a bunch of stuff happened. And okay, so this is how I remember it. Is I remember the night was kind of winding down, and I remember for some reason I had this urge that I just needed to walk, like into the distance. And so I started walking into the distance, and as I was walking into the distance, my mind was going 3 million miles per hour. You know. The speed of light, it was fucking just going and going and going, and I just didn't even know what was going on, so I just had to go. I just had to leave. I was going. And from what I remember, don't get me wrong, I learned so much that night about my body, about my soul, about everything. And so what I remember is just going and just learning, I feel like too much. I feel like I was learning too much to the point where everything just became a white blur. And then I remember waking up, walking back to the camp with Mike and someone else. Maybe one. I think Jerry was there.
I was there. I wasn't there when you came out with the trailer though. I was back at the campsite.
Mike and Devin. I was walking back with them, and that's when I like.
I don't remember
this white
coming
light.
and picking you up though.
And see, so I was just in this white light walking, and then I remember coming out of the white light, and I was with Mike and I think Devin. And so, like, what really happened is I guess I ended up at somebody's camp trailer, and I was, like, sleeping or something on the sand. But
just in front of the trailer. Did
was
they
in front of the
say
trailer.
hi to you? Or
Well, and
They
from
seemed nice.
they
seemed like nice people.
they most likely were hanging out with me because like they would not let a nigga just pass out on the sand in front of the trailer. But all I remember is just going into a white light and then coming out of a white light, walking. I remember I was walking back to the trailer, and I knew what I was doing. I knew I was walking back to the car. I knew I was walking back to the campsite, and so like. As the weeks went on, I remember getting told, you know, like, hey, dude, you were passed out, like, in the sand in Yuba in front of somebody's trailer. And so, like, for me, I learned so much that night by going to this place that I don't know where I went, but to this place that I know is a place. And so it was just a very crazy night, you know. And the cool thing about it is I was hanging out with Jerrick for the first, like, time that we actually like went out.
Yeah.
And I was hanging out with Devin, and Devin used to always be the little nigga that me and Dustin used to hang out with, so I didn't like really kick it with him ever.
Yeah.
And so I was like kind of first time I was
And
hanging out with both you guys.
Dustin is my cousin.
Yeah,
And
Dustin-
How I met Alex was from Dustin. So
Yeah, Dustin-
That kind of links it, and Devin's my little brother. So
Yeah.
that kind of links those all together.
Yeah, Dustin was my best friend when I was 14. And somehow I got mixed up in this whole mix, and then me and Mike are homies. And he's his cousin. So it's like, it's weird how it all works out. It's really weird. But yeah, that was a crazy night. But that's when Jerrick and Rachael like kind of kicked in and met and everything. And so that was a crazy night. I feel like those nights where like something happens to someone, you know, like someone gets like their
In a
information that they
situation,
needed,
like-
you know,
Oh,
or
yeah.
in that situation where they learned something.
Yeah. We all learned
It-
something, though.
Yeah, we all learned
Yeah.
something. Yeah, of course, but those situations are always the craziest. And what's cool about that night is Mikey Poo was there. Mike P.
Yeah.
And so was Jerrick. And you guys met that night. And you guys didn't see each other for about 8 months after that.
Yeah.
And then you guys
Yeah.
re-met, and you guys had to re-meet as if you didn't know that
I
night.
didn't remember
and
him
then
at all.
and then you, Jerry, were the one that was like, "Hey, Mikey P, we met at fucking at Yuba." And then
Yeah.
Mikey P was like, "Oh, dude."
Yeah.
So I think that night was a very, very needed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude, you know what's funny about that is I met Mikey Poo back when I was like it was back in my day of like when I was like 16, 17, like through all that time, teenagers. You
First
know?
apartment.
Oh my
And,
gosh, she was at her first apartment so much.
Yeah,
First
I was-
apartment.
Yeah.
Alex and
Yeah.
Rachel lived together, and my buddy Jeremy, and
Yeah.
me and Jeremy and Rachel, we worked at McDonald's,
Yeah.
and it was a good old time. It was
Oh,
alright.
yeah,
It wasn't
yeah.
too bad. Like I liked it. It was a good life for a minute, but I was always going to Alex and Rachel's house and Jeremy's house because they all lived together, and I was always going there to. I was always buying weed and oil and pieces like glass art and pieces and dab rigs and all just because I was a kid, you know. I was just gonna blow my money. I didn't have bills. I didn't got shit to do, you know. I just was like,
you
fuck
would
yeah.
always tell us about the new pieces you
Yeah, and
bought.
I was
You
like,
was like, I got this oil rig.
yeah,
Like,
it
oh,
was like that was like the
fuck.
highlight of my life. It was like, oh, I got this shit, like, like y'all ready to smoke out this shit? I'll give you a dab right this second.
Yeah.
I was like, right now, I'm ready. Like, I'll give you a fat one. I still kind of got that in me a little bit, but yeah, I used to always go over there, and Mikey Poo, he was over there a bunch too because he worked with Alex at Jamba Juice, which you maybe heard if you've been listening, but and yeah, I met him a bunch over there a bunch of times, and I was just getting so fucked up back then, and like I would do challenges, like I would take like a dab and then like take a shot and then pound a beer or like just like
you still do that too.
I still do that every once in a while on special occasions, but this was like
This is like
Yeah,
yesterday.
this is the crazy one. So my favorite one, which I had recorded on my
you guys
iPod
are so
Touch.
mean for making him do this.
he loved it. He loved it. Yeah. And so my favorite one in that first apartment, which I had on my old iPod Touch, which either got lost or stolen. I don't know. But I don't care either. It's like one of those things, you know, that's just like, it's gone.
Yeah.
I've accepted it. But my favorite one was me and Rachael and Jeremy. We had probably 6 different pieces. Like
I remember this.
1 or 2 bongs. No, we had 2 bongs, like 3 or 4 pipes, and then a bubbler. And so, and then one day we got a fifth of blue UV vodka.
This was not.
And so
I'm not.
there
too
was
proud
there
of
was
this.
half
I'm not proud of this.
half a fifth left, and so we put it. We had a glass, just a glass cup that would fit half of a fifth, you know. And so we drank half the fifth of the vodka, and we put the other half fifth in a cup, and then so we loaded 2 bongs with the bowl, we loaded 4 pipes with the bowl, and then 1 bubbler with the bowl. And Mike was like, "I'm gonna do it all," you know. And so I remember recording this, and he hit a bong, hit another bong, hit the bubbler,
All in
hit
one
a
breath.
pipe. In one breath, hit a pipe, hit a pipe, hit a pipe, and they all had bowls, like at least like 3/4 to almost a bowl. And he cleared it.
I don't know about that. It was probably.
Okay, it was probably like
half
half
balls.
balls.
I want to get
like a snap.
It was like a snap.
Fat snaps.
I don't want
They
to
were
get
fat
too.
snaps.
I don't want
They
to
were
get too
fat
far ahead of
snaps.
myself.
They were fat snaps that at the time, you know, for like somebody, it would take like 2 or 3 hits. You know, it was a fat snap. But
I got lungs of
but yeah,
steel.
but hit,
Not even bragging.
you know, hit like all like 7 of them. And then pounded the fucking half a fifth of UV vodka.
Holy shit.
And the whole time we were playing Gucci Man. That was my favorite part about it. Because we were playing Gucci
What's
Man.
Gucci Man?
Gucci
Gucci
Mane.
Mane.
Gucci Mane.
Gucci Mane.
He's got an ice cream cone tattooed
yeah.
on his face.
Like the most gangster rap that you can get. Like
Oh, you were playing it on the...
yeah, like
okay,
the music,
okay,
yeah.
so-
It was like gangster rap. We were playing gangster rap, so it was like he was a thug, you know, like
Yeah.
just hitting him, and then pounding it, and just kills it, and then blows out his breath, and then it was like, yeah. I never posted it or anything because that's at that time, you know, we were like 18 and 16, you know. I was like, like this is sacred for the for the iPod, you know, like this isn't going anywhere like social.
We lost the iPod.
And then I lost the iPod.
For that very reason right there, is that's why because okay, let's fast forward a little bit. I fast forward to just probably about a year and a half, probably a year and a half ago, around that era. Me and Alex were kicking it, and Alex was like, "Let's go on a hike," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's go on a fucking hike." And then he's got a couple boys coming on a hike with him, and he's got Mikey Poo and a couple other guys, and Mikey Poo, like we roll up, and I look, excuse me, but I look at Mikey Poo, I'm like, this motherfucker looks so familiar, but I cannot put the fucking put the nail on the head or whatever the fuck it is, and I just cannot think of it. But I'm just like, and Mikey Poo comes up to me, and I still feel like a fucking jackass for this. But Mikey Poo comes up to me and he's like, "Yo, what up, dude? Like, how you doing? Blah blah." And now I'm just like, "Yo, what up, dog?" Like,
just faked it.
I'm just
like, "Yo, what up? It's been a
We've all
minute."
done it. We've all done it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
"Yo, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. Blah 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 blah." And then then slowly but surely, fucking me and Mikey Poo became really good friends, you know, just because I don't know, we all have our things, we all have our fucking struggles, and I don't know, he's just one of those niggas who I feel like he can relate really well with me, you know. I don't know, he's been through a similar path, really similar to mine. And it's weird because he's got the fucking same name as me, and it's just kind of weird the things me and Mikey Poo have like related to each other and like really gotten across to some real fucking shit.
It's like recently, right? Recently?
Pretty like within the past 6 months.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, like, and within, I forgot when, I just told Mikey Poo, and I'm just like, I was like, dude, I didn't fucking remember you for a while, but now I remember the fucking circle pounds and like the fucking shit, but it's still foggy.
But the thing that's
It's
funny
still
about
foggy
that,
because back then I was getting so fucked up. I was getting so fucked up, and I was in such a path, such a weird, like, I wouldn't call it dark or anything. It was just where I was going at that point, and I was having a good old time. Don't get me wrong, but like that's just the path I was heading down, and
With your memory.
Yeah, it's just
Fuck with
crazy.
your memory.
It's so foggy. You know?
And the crazy thing about
era.
the crazy thing about that is the night that Mike's talking about where like he re-met him like at the hike and everything. At that point, Mikey Poo was sober off of drinking. Because drinking was like his big thing and he still doesn't drink to this day. That's his big crutch.
He's in treatment.
That he
Well,
doesn't
like
do.
he takes
Yeah,
classes
so,
and stuff. Well, goes to the AA
so,
classes. And stuff.
yeah, and
I'm
so,
sure
like,
you wouldn't
it's-
mind me saying that. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's crazy because when we re-met, you know, like when Mike and Mikey Poo first met, like we were drinking, you know, we were circle pounding, you know, like shit was getting crazy. And then like when they re-met, it was probably a year or two later. Mikey Poo had decided, you know, to go down the path of not drinking and everything, and so like that night, I feel like that's the night that kind of started the fiasco that is still going to this day, where it's like just homies trying to kick it with homies, you know, where it's not necessarily the substance that matters, whereas like a couple years ago it was the substance that mattered, you know. It's like you only kicked it with the people that like were doing the same substance as you, whether that be weed or alcohol or whatever it is. And that's one thing that's crazy that Mikey Poo has taught me and many other people, you know, is that you don't have to be on the same thing to kick it, you know. You can kick it with anyone that's doing anything, you know. You can kick it with a sober homie and be getting fucked up. And that's one thing that I wanted to add real quick is that Mikey Poo, me and him were talking the other day, and we were talking about how he's okay with coming over to a homie's house that's sober, as he is, and starting to get drunk, you know, because Mikey Poo's not going to drink.
Mm-hmm.
But he's okay with being around you as you start to get drunk, and then you get drunker and drunker. And it's funny, he's taught me this, and I know he's taught other people this, is that you can be on the same level as someone, not on the same substance, though. Like, he can be almost as if he's drunk when I'm drunk, you know, as long as he's there when we start. But he was talking to me about how he hates going to someone's house when they're drunk. Because when they're already drunk, it's like he's going there sober and they're already on another level. So it's like weird to hang out with that because you're not going up levels with them. It's like they're already on their level and you're coming in at a lower level. And so it's like...
Well, imagine if you have a puppy and then you like... It's a little fucker, like a little shithead puppy, you know? And then you're like, alright, I'm gonna put this dog in like some sort of training school. And then while it's in that training school, or even a kid or some shit, or like, while that thing is in that fucking boarding school or whatever, it's learning so much and growing so much, and you aren't there to see the gradual fucking shit. It's just like how you were, if you were never to look in a mirror, and you grew from being a 5th grader to a fucking 8th grader, and then like from 5th grade to 8th grade you never look in the mirror, and then you look in the mirror, you'd be like, oh my god, I don't even recognize myself, you know, because, and same thing with anything, you know, I don't know, somebody else's dog always grows faster, you know? But if that makes sense, because you've seen it in gaps, you know, you've been like, okay, I've seen it this day and it was this little. Then the next time I seen it, it was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But then if you've had that dog the whole time, then it's like, oh my god, it's just been like one day at a time, you know, one step at a time, gradual.
Yeah.
Well, and another crazy thing is like, I read this thing about people about, I don't know where I read it or what it was about really, but the main thing I was trying to go over is like people are kind of like as if you put different flowers in the same flower bed. Like, some of them are going to grow at different seasons and grow like fast and rapid because like that's the way that in their genetics the flower is supposed to grow. But the other ones are going to go really slow until the other season hits, and then it's going to bust out growing while the other one stops growing in that other season. And so it's like that's kind of how it is with every person, you know, like every person has their different times where they're going to grow and they're just going to flourish, and then they're going to have those times where they stop, where they like don't grow too much for, you know, a couple months or a year or so, when another flower is about to grow and flourish in that year or so when the other one isn't. So it's kind of like, you know, like everyone has their different times when the sun hits them, you know, like
Yeah.
Some people are supposed to grow in the spring, and some people are supposed to grow in the winter. Some people are supposed to grow in 2017. Some people are supposed to grow in 2018. You know, it's like, it's really all different on the person. But that's one thing that I think kind of pushes me through my days is just knowing that, like, everyone has their different times where they're going to grow rapidly.
Yeah.
And then there are times where they're not going to grow rapidly.
And sometimes I think slow, like, observant growth is better than fast, like, just big bang, like,
Yeah, but
getting
I
it
feel
done.
like we
growth.
kind of crave the fast.
Yeah.
That's what we look for. We
But I
want
feel
the
like
fast.
if you grow a little bit slower and kind of take a minute to observe and to look at, like, the things, and just to be self-aware through the growth, you know, self-aware. That's why I love when people write about, like, the just dark shit that went through, because it's like,
I just wish
you were
everybody
self-aware.
was cool with each other. I don't
Yeah.
know. I just don't like it when everybody judges each other, or if I even get that vibe from anyone, like, I stay quiet. You know, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to say anything. You're judging me.
Well, and that's another thing too. Is like, I've talked to a lot of people that are judgmental, and I feel like some of them are judgmental to be helpful, and some of them are judgmental just because
they don't like it.
they don't like how other people grow faster than them. You know, it's like, oh, I'm jealous of you. But then some people are like, well, I'm going to be judgmental because I know that it's going to help you. You know, if I tell you what's wrong with you, you're going to, like, grow off that. But then some people are like, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with you so you don't necessarily, so you aren't growing as fast because I'm jealous of it. You know?
Well, there's judgment, and there's let's say there's criticism, which is just bagging on somebody, and there's constructive criticism where it's like, okay, this is what you're doing wrong, but, like, what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do to fix that? Mm-hmm. But criticism would just be like, oh, you're fucking up, blah blah blah, or like, or I don't know. There's a lot of different words you could fucking use for it, but you probably get what I mean. Like, there's constructive criticism, and then there's just being a fucking piece of shit. There's just being a piece of shit to somebody and being disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like, you know when you're trying to build somebody up, and you know when you're trying to tear somebody down. Like, try to build people up.
And what's funny is, like, people, mainly when you're giving either side of those constructive or destructive criticism,
I feel like you always should be constructive.
Yeah, I feel like people, though, are always going to see it as criticism.
That's
you know?
true, yeah.
You're always going to see it as criticism.
See, it depends. You gotta see past that.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, it's hard though. It can be hard sometimes because it cuts your ego a little bit.
Well, and both do. Yeah. Like, even constructive criticism, it's hard to swallow. It's hard to swallow and be like, I know that's constructive, but still it hurts me. You know, it's like, fuck. But that's what I feel like. That's one thing that makes you push harder. You know, because I don't know if it was a documentary or just an interview or something I watched with somebody. Don't even ask me who. This was a long time ago. But I remember watching this thing, and it was like, I think it was a therapist or something that was talking about how they, like, they were a therapist or something for a lot of people that have made it big in the name world, like artists.
Oh, okay. Just famous people.
Just famous people, and they, like, talked to them. They were like their therapist or something, and they were talking about how people that make it big always had to go through a destructive time where either they destroyed their life or someone destroyed their life, or they went through a big breakup, or there was something that was so tragic that happened that they went so low in their lives that all they could do was bounce back, and that's kind of what drove their drive to become big.
That's not
Big Sean.
How's it go?
Took an L, but tonight I'll bounce back.
Okay, well, what made you bounce back? What made everybody bounce back? Everybody here. Just curious.
I feel like every time I do a psychedelic, it makes me bounce back a little bit.
Okay. Well, do you think you've ever hit a rock bottom?
Yeah. I mean, just...
That made you kind of
lowest
bong, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think that was? If you
When I had the seizure from smoking spice, which I don't think I've ever actually told that story.
Yeah, dude, let's
So
hear it.
maybe
Let's
I'll
hear it.
tell that
Let's
story.
fucking hear
Oh
it.
my god.
Yeah, it was fucking gnarly because I was on
Fuck
probation.
I know Jaden's been waiting for this. Like, shout out to that nigga, but
I was on probation, so I couldn't smoke weed or anything, and I was doing all manner of drugs that I can get my hands on. Just shit
As a kid, you
that's
know,
not good
just
for
dumb.
you. Yeah, just cough medicine, dumb shit like that.
Oof.
Yeah, and then so I hear that one of the homies has some spice, and my dumb like perspective back then wasn't like, oh fuck spice, you know. It was more like, oh
Get it.
sweet, I can get
Oh,
high,
I can get high and not get in
and-
trouble.
Yeah, this will show up on a drug test.
Wow.
And so we go to the fucking Wendy's, go through the drive-thru and fucking get the spice. Oh no! We the kid came with us in the car. Yeah, he went on his
I
break.
know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to talk.
Yeah,
say
exactly.
that, but-
I know.
But yeah, he got in the car with us, and we went to this spot behind Smith's, this kind of like fenced-off area,
Yeah.
kind of. And he starts loading it, you know, pass it around to everyone. I take a hit, and like the second I blow it out, I got that feeling like, oh fuck, like that was like too much or something. Like that was like this is
You just got the
this
bad
like,
rip.
yeah, because
you know?
I mean you guys have done spice. I'm assuming
Yeah.
some of you
Yeah.
guys like it gets fucking weird and bad sometimes. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Spice,
inconsistent.
it's trippy,
Inconsistent.
Yeah, it's like this
Yeah.
sucks. Like what the? Why did I smoke this shit? It gets kind of scary sometimes. But yeah, I got that feeling like it was gonna get fucking shitty, and yeah, it got about as shitty as it could because. So the first thing that started happening to me, I passed it, blew it out. You know, I started getting that feeling, but it wasn't like hitting me yet. And then all of a sudden, like, Jaden said I wanted to go lay down in the car or something. I don't really remember that. I remember trying to walk straight, and I was walking kind of swaying a little bit side to side, and then the swaying got worse and worse progressively with each step. I remember, like, oh shit, I have to catch myself. So I would reach out and catch myself, and then I'm like, oh shit, I have to catch myself even harder. And it was like, oh shit, now I have to catch myself like as hard as I can. And then next thing I know, Jaden comes and grabs me from behind because I'm like about to fall over. I'm like walking in like a wide circle, you know, just trying to
Jaden's
stand
like
up.
on point at this point.
Well, he's
just
not
like,
on point. He's
he's
fucked up, but he's
fucked up
good.
still,
He's
but
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's good,
he's
yeah.
good. He comes and grabs me around the waist, starts laughing. Everyone's just laughing at this point. Everyone's like, "Oh, Jerry's just fucked up. Can't walk straight," you know. And I'm freaking out this whole time, just feeling like shit. And then Jaden just lays me down on the ground because he realized I'm not going to stand up. I'm not going to be able to support my weight anymore. So he lays me down, and as soon as I hit the ground, both my arms go like above my head. I mean, not like above my head, like just out in front of me, bent.
like out of control.
Well, like I was conscious during this, but it was like forced.
Your muscles
kind of
were
like-
just like
yeah,
tensing up.
it was, and I had a seizure. Is what
Yeah.
it turned into.
Oh
It turned into a
my
seizure.
gosh.
Yeah, but I was conscious through the first like 90% of it probably.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I was there, like seeing my arms like shake above me, and my eyes were like wide open. You know, it wasn't like I was like about to like pass out or anything. I was just
Yeah.
like freaking out, like eyes wide open, not responding to anyone or anything. But I could hear what they were saying still. There was three people, their heads were just floating above me, dude. Like this trippy, like I was in a whole nother world at this point. But their three heads were still there, and they were each saying things like one after another. In my mind, they were saying it like in order, like it was
Yeah.
going in a circle.
Ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding.
And every word that they said was progressively, or every phrase that they said or whatever, got progressively worse and worse. Like it was like, "Whoa, what's wrong with Jerrick?" He's like, "Oh, Jerrick's like freaking out or something." And it's like,
Oh,
"Is Jerrick gonna be all right?"
no,
It's
he's
like,
getting paranoid.
should we call our
no.
mom? Like, oh shit, do I need to call 911? It's like, like it just like spiraled as bad as it could possibly get. And then I don't really remember what happened after that, but I remember kind of just like going into like a black, dark space, just like where I wasn't really there anymore, but I was still like a dream state, kind of like in some sort of dream. Kind of thing.
Okay.
And somehow I got the notion that I could like try or something. I could like just like force myself
That
to
last
like
bit.
yeah,
you
just
know?
like if I like just I can't even explain it. Like I had to fight it basically. That I got some sort of notion in my mind that I could actually fight it. And then so as soon as I started fighting it, I was able to open my eyes, and it was so weird because fighting it was the
Difficult.
hardest, most painful thing that
So
I've ever
what
had
were
to
you
do.
fighting?
I was fighting the urge to seize, I guess, like
To give up?
So you
the
felt like you
freaking
were almost
outness.
about to like just seize up?
Yeah, I feel like something really bad was about to happen, and I was just fighting that from happening. I don't know
I
if
feel
it was
like
still
it was kind
seize.
of like an anxiety or panic attack.
Yeah,
or like, I don't
yeah,
know,
something like that.
Something like that.
But as soon as I started fighting it, it was
It's all in your head.
extremely hard. Yeah, who knows? It could have been some like just made up thing. But what I took
It was
from it
happening,
was
though.
I left from it feeling like I had a much better understanding of how life worked from it. It was very interesting. Like the second it was over, it was like that boom, just instant relief of like everything's fucking fine. And I honestly felt high from it. I remember thinking, I feel like better than I've felt in like weeks. Just right after, just from surviving that. You know, it was, yeah.
Oh, I remember
That's
the
fucking nuts.
first time I smoked spice. We went back to like we went back to school, and like the teacher like called on me, and then I just like stared at him, and I was like, and this kid next to me was like, "I'm so disappointed in you, Rachel. Like this is the answer." And I was like, "Fuck." He's like, "You're so high right now," and I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "This is the answer," and I was like, "Fuck."
And
that was
imagine
the first time I smoked spice.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts. Imagine the guy who like. This is what I always think about with like things like that, you know, like the guy who fucking created that fucking chemical, you know, and because it's legal, like still to a certain level because they're always changing the chemicals and they're always switching it up. So whoever's creating it really like. I don't know if that, like, because it reminds me of a lot of people I knew from my past, you know, who just really, they would make such big effects on people and they just would not think about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, these people who are creating these drugs, like, these synthetic drugs especially that have, like, and that's why I don't think drugs should be illegal because it just makes people want to create these things that are legal and more dangerous.
Crazy drugs of
But-
the same version of drugs.
But these people who created spice and fucking bath salts and all these research chemicals and all this stuff, like, I grew up in, all of us, you know, we grew up in this era where all these things were becoming popular, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All these fucked up fucking things that, like, are just, like, loopholes through the system, you know. And, like, if the system was just, like, let all these natural good things, you know, that are fucking aren't so bad for you, and they can be bad for you, don't get me wrong, if you fucking exploit them just like anything, but, like, I just don't think the people who create these things realize the footprint they're putting on society, because, like, the stories that we all have and, like, the fucking just life experience that all the people I've talked to and grew up with have, because these fucking research chemicals and these fucking things, you know, people really don't get, like, the footprint they're putting on people. And, like, I've been there, you know, I've been through my stages, you know, and, like, you really don't get what you're fucking doing until you fucking, like, until you fucking start reaping what you sow, you know, until you fucking, like...
So, one thing about that is, I don't know if this is a changing point in my life. I mean, it definitely changed a couple things the way I thought and everything, but this is a big point in my life, and one point where it really scared me about, and this is one point in life where it changed me, where I said I will no longer do research chemicals, because I used to, and I know a lot of people used to be okay with the thought of research
especially
chemicals.
our era.
Yeah,
Our era.
and so, like, one thing that was crazy is my homie, one
Never
time...
thought they were okay.
Yeah, my homie, he used to get research chemicals off of the dark web, you know? And so...
Allegedly.
He used to allegedly get them off of the dark web. And so anyway, so he gets a batch one time, and he gets it from a new guy. And the batch he gets is research chemicals, which is pretty much acid, but fake. And so when he bought these research chemicals that were fake acid, the guy that gave it to him, that sold it to him from who knows where, it could have been from another country, could have been from the same country, who knows where he fucking bought it. But the guy that he bought it from said, hey, here's a little freebie that I'll throw you. Here's 10 hits of gummy research chemicals. So they were gummies.
Oh, okay.
And so
They
my
taste
homie...
like shit.
Yeah, they tasted like
awful.
shit. They taste like shit, and I chewed them, and it was okay. So hold on, here's the experience. So
What did
Yeah,
you just
my bad.
swallow?
so he gives me them, and he's like, hey, he's like, I don't do research chemicals because I sell them, and at that point I should have realized I shouldn't be doing them if the dealer doesn't want to do them, And he's like, so he comes over and he's like, all right, and so he's like, do you want to try these research chemical gummies? And I was like, all right, I'll try them. So he gave me some, and I tried them. And I remember eating them, and I remember them tasting 10 times stronger. Because research chemicals, if anyone's ever done them, they taste like you're tasting like battery acid.
Yeah,
Battery
like
That's the
acid.
only chemical,
Acid, yeah.
like battery acid. Like you're
Like
licking
straight
a
iron.
battery.
Like
Like
bitter.
murder.
Like you're licking a battery for 30
And
minutes
it stays
straight.
there, yeah.
And it
doesn't
stays
go
there.
away for
You
a
drink
while.
water, and it tastes like battery acid water.
Acid
And
water.
And
it
so,
is.
and so, do not fucking ever do RC. Ever. But anyways, so this was back when I was
Fucked
still
up my
done. So
mind for you.
I was like,
Still
alright,
done.
I'll try it. So I started chewing these gummies, and I was like, oh my god, this tastes horrible, So I chewed them maybe 10 chews. Because every chew got worse and
Didn't you
worse
say you would, like,
and
you
worse.
felt like it was like shocking you
And
or
it felt like
something?
I
It
was shocking
Yeah,
my
like-
gums, like,
or something like.
and that's why I only chewed them about 10
Yeah,
times.
yeah, you
And so
told
then
me
I
that,
swallowed
yeah.
them. And so then I swallowed them, and immediately
Then
within,
how many?
I took 2.
2, okay.
And so within 10 minutes, I could already feel it like fucking up my whole world. Like the whole world was not the world anymore. It was just something else.
10
Oh,
minutes.
no.
Damn.
Like what would you
Within 10
describe it
minutes,
as?
like I would describe it as everything was fading away. It was fading away into just into like
It
blurs.
was your mind now and what you thought
Yeah.
now.
And so it was just fading away. And then I remember as it was fading away, I would like fade into the world and I would see him. And then I would fade out and I would see just blurs. And I'd fade in and
guy who
I'd see
sold them
that.
to you?
Yeah, the guy that he gave it to him from me.
Yeah,
for
the
real.
guy who gave them to you.
Because he just barely got the shipment, so he was letting me try them. And so I was just fading in and out for maybe 20, 30 minutes. And I remember one time I was fading out so bad that I felt like I wasn't going to come back, that it was just everything was turning blurs, and I felt like that's where I was going, and I felt like I was never going to come back. Like I was about to die. I felt like I was about to die and just fade into these colors, and then I wasn't going to come back to this world. And then I remember coming back one last time, and I remember holding his hand and him singing to me, because he put on some slow music, some oldies.
To try and calm you down?
To try and calm me down, to try and save me, And I remember coming back, and I remember feeling that love, But I remember I was like, I can't stay here, I gotta go. And so I kind of like accepted that I was gonna be gone, And so I remember I accepted it, and I fell asleep, which is probably not the best idea, but like that's all that could happen. Like he knew that was all could happen, and I didn't know anything at that point. I just knew that I was fading in and out of consciousness, and I remember I faded out into all the colors and everything, and I was just fading out into them.
When was this?
I don't want to
Some
say
guy.
anything. I don't want to say
Some
anything.
guy.
And so I faded out into it, and then
I was living with you though.
yeah, and Rachel was asleep. And
So
so
fucking tell me.
I feel like if Rachel was not asleep,
you probably know, but we'll have to say
You
it after
know,
the
Just tell me
you
podcast.
his
know.
name. I fucking
We'll
already
have to say-
know.
we'll have to podcast.
We'll have to
Off
say
the
it
podcast, I'll
off
tell you.
mic because
It's
we
on the
can't.
mic right
It
now.
can't be recorded.
But
That's
anyways,
when did you
and
wake
so-
up? What happened?
I faded into all these colors, and then I remember everything just went black, and then I remember waking up on my couch, which I didn't sleep on my couch. I slept in my bed with Rachel, and so I remember waking up on the couch, and I remember everything was wrong. Every single thing was wrong. And I remember at that point, that was kind of a point when I stopped doing, when I told myself I wasn't okay with research chemicals anymore. That was the point where I kind of changed that in my mind. And I was just like, and the worst part was, I remember one of the times I faded out, or faded back in, I remember it was either me or him, but I remember seeing the rest of the gummies thrown away in the garbage. And when I woke up in the morning, the garbage was taken out by this person. And I remember that at that point, I was so against these chemicals because I thought that they would kill someone that I went out into my garbage can and I opened it up and I went through the whole entire garbage can and they weren't there.
Oh my god.
And I remember the homie, and the homie was sleeping while this happened, you know? So I remember those drugs aren't in the garbage, you know? And then I remember going back in, I remember going back to Rachael, and I remember taking a little quick nap, and then I remember going upstairs, and then, you know, the day started, you know, and then talking to the homie, and he was like, yeah, I can't believe that happened last night, you know? Like, I thought you were gonna die, you know? And I was like, I thought I did die. And then I was like, and then he's like, well, good thing I threw him away. And me being me, I just was like, you didn't throw him away.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, and I took out your trash and I
Bullshit,
cleaned your house for you, you know?
bullshit.
And I was like, yeah, you cleaned the house and you took out the trash, but you took out the trash for a reason, you know? You went and grabbed those gummies. And I remember this person telling me a month or 2 or maybe 3 months later that he remembers selling those drugs and that he killed someone because there was an overdose of that drug on the news.
Don't say that.
And
What
he
the
was like,
fuck?
I can't believe I was selling these drugs and someone overdosed on him and died, you know? And to me, it was just an ego thing for him, you know?
Are
It was
you
like,
fucking kidding
it was
me?
like,
That's exactly why I do not want to say that nigga's name on this podcast because I know he would love it.
yeah, and
he's
egotistical.
whoever this person is. I don't know.
But I just
I don't
remember
know.
after that night, I was like, that was the night that that told me like, hey, like, drugs that people tamper with are not drugs that you should try. You know, like,
Drugs that people tamper with, like, what do you mean?
like
Just in general.
drugs that are
modified,
created,
like modified
research
things.
chemicals,
Well,
drugs that are created because people are trying to make because they're trying to get that loophole in the law.
Yeah.
They're trying to find that loophole.
There's people like, okay, for example.
Controlled drugs are fucking fucked.
Yeah. For example, Alexander Shulgin. He is actually the chemist who reintroduced MDMA into like society, you know, because there was this company called Merck, which is a German company, and they were the first ones to synthesize MDMA, and then they kind of stocked it away, you know, and called it unnecessary in their books or whatever they did. I'm not exactly sure. You'd have to fucking look it up, but this is just my my knowledge of the story. But and then Alexander Shulgin, he's a scientist, an experimental scientist. He tests things on himself, and he's just real smart motherfucker. And he finds out this compound, and I'm not exactly sure what he was trying to use it for, but he was just a scientist, you know. So he got this compound MDMA, and he created it, and he got a bunch of, created it and tested it on him and his friends and told them what it was, and was like, okay, these are the risks, blah, 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 and this is what could happen. Now let's be smart people, test it on ourselves, write about it, and fucking experiment. Mm-hmm. And this is what this guy was doing. And he created a lot of chemicals like DOM, which is another. It's a research chemical, but he created it to test things on himself, to push the boundaries on himself and his friends, not to be like, oh, this is like not somebody
Not trying to
telling
get
you,
fucked up.
well, and not trying to get fucked up, just to see where you could go with your mind, see what you could do to help people, because that's how people create medications. He's created so many things that have helped people. MDMA has helped so many people, like with PTSD and all kinds. They're doing all kinds of studies with it now, and he's created all kinds of so many chemicals, and he was just real intelligent fucking scientist. You know, maybe his ways weren't as fucking, what's it called? Fucking, by the book, exactly. Maybe they weren't as by the book as most people, but they, he was testing things on himself before he went and was like, okay, this is, and told people, because what I was told when I was a kid, buying stuff from shady characters, is when I bought research chemicals, when I first bought research chemicals, somebody told me it was LSD.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Same
told.
here.
That's what I was told
Same here.
the first time. And then I put it in my mouth, and I remember a long time ago,
See,
a
that's
long
what's
time
so
ago
messed
when I
up,
was a
like, what the
kid,
hell?
when I was a kid, somebody on YouTube, because I'm a YouTube fucking fiend, you know, and I research my shit. And like I would go on Google, I would go on all the fucking forums and shit and look all this shit up. And I remember a bunch of people saying, if it's bitter, it's a spitter. You know, if it's bitter, it's a spitter. You fucking spit, you take a tab and it's bitter, it's a spitter. You spit that shit right out. And I remember taking me and a good, like, a brother to me, you know, like, straight up family, you know, no joke. Like, we took this, as soon as I put it in my mouth, for the first time, I looked at my homeboy and I was like, this isn't LSD. And somewhere in the back of my head, because we bought a whole bunch of it, my homie, he bought a whole bunch of it for dirt cheap, and we thought we were coming up. Allegedly, we thought we were coming up, and he bought a whole bunch of it for cheap, and then we take it for the first time. I'm with my homie and my ex-girlfriend. We take it for the first time. I take 2 tabs to begin with, and then I fucking see my cousin. He goes to the, like, he fucking gets up, like, after probably like 45 minutes after taking it, my cousin gets up. He's like, and he starts like wanting to puke, and he like almost fucking pukes on himself, runs to the bathroom. And I'm just like looking at this nigga, I'm like, I'm just like, this bitch nigga puking, you know? Like, can't handle his shit. Even though I knew when I took it that it wasn't LSD, I was thinking in my head, I was like, it's okay, like, my friend gave it to me, so it's okay. And then my ex, she like fucking pukes a little bit, goes to the bathroom, you know? And I'm like, I'm solid. And as I'm saying, I'm like, oh dude, I got such a fucking tough stomach, I never puke. And as I was saying, I was like, I never puke, and my mouth fills up with puke.
Oh no!
And I'm fucking booked in the bathroom, and this is when I wasn't even dating my ex-girlfriend at this point. This is the point when we're first starting to kick it, and I'm like so embarrassed. I'm running to the bathroom, I fucking puke on myself a little bit, and just like this green fucked up looking puke, and
battery acid puke.
Then I come back, and after I puke, I come back, and I'm just like out of this fucking world, just like, and fucking. I remember my ex-girlfriend and my one of my best friends' girlfriend. They started making pancakes. They started trying to make pancakes, and they couldn't do it. They, like, just couldn't comprehend it, because we were hungry. We didn't eat anything that whole day. That's probably why we puked. And,
You're all so fucked up,
yeah, and they started making pancakes, and I was like, y'all ain't gonna do this. Like, this ain't gonna work. I was like, let me get in this bitch. Let's just make some scrambled pancakes.
No.
And they were like, no, we can't make scrambled pancakes. That ain't gonna work. And then, I don't know, it was just it was weird all around. It was a good experience. It was a good experience for my life to have now that I look back at it. But I say, if you are a fucking kid, if you are looking to experiment, go with the things that people have already tried and have already set the paths for you and told you, like, what's safe and what's not, because you never know. You never know at all. And, I've had some sketchy shit happen, and I need to pee, but...
Yeah, let's take a quick break.
Yeah, let's take a quick break.
Break.
Make sure we're about to kill it pretty soon.
Yeah. So we're back. So one thing I wanted to ask all y'all niggas this podcast is, and we've been talking about it a little bit before the podcast, and I've been talking about it with Bracken a little bit, is where do you think, like, the economy, like in the American economy, the world, like the direction
Switching it
that
up.
the world is headed into right now?
Okay.
You know, because to me it seems like some shit's building up.
I mean,
You know.
Some
All right.
shit's
Get
so
it.
okay, so I feel like that with the world the way that it's going, America being the biggest super weapon, and with us electing a corporation to be our president, and with the way that the EU has been, the European Union has been for the past 15 years.
And are we part of that? Or like,
No, we're not part of that.
What's
That's
going on?
use. Okay, the EU uses euros. That's what the EU is. It's a bunch of countries saying, "Hey, let's all use the same currency."
Are we part of that?
No, we're not because we use the
I know.
American dollar.
Yeah, I know. It's just
And
like,
so
what?
then there's us, and
I
then
can't
there's
believe I guessed that.
Africa. You know, Africa has kind of been shut down from a lot of places in the world. You know, and then there's Asia, which Asia is kind of like they have their own kind of things going. I'm not gonna hit it, but Asia has their own kind of things going. So I feel like the way that the American economy is going, I feel like that it's going more into a corporation kind of fed kind of place. Whereas I feel like a lot of American citizens don't want that, and so I feel like America is about to go into something that is going to be a very big controversy, you know, which is going to lead to a lot of very big changes, which could be growth or destruction. So I see America coming to a point where we're getting very, 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 very close, which may be within the next 5 years. But it's going to become into something where a revolt is going to happen, where a very big change is going to happen in America.
Yeah.
Now, that's America. And I believe in Europe, I believe that Europe is kind of going in the correct direction. And I think that's why certain big events are happening in Europe is because it's kind of testing the EU. So I believe the EU is going in the right direction. In Asia, I feel like that they are kind of going in the same sort of direction as the EU. They're kind of going in the right direction.
More progressive.
More
thinking,
progressive thinking, you know.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
progressive thinking
Well, I
is
guess
always
it
going to
depends
have
on which area.
yeah, and so progressive thinking is always going to have very big outcomes, like very big
And I never
serious
understood
things
why
like
everyone
bombings
hated
and things
us,
like that.
but it's
Yeah,
because
and
we're
so-
so selfish.
Yeah, and so
That's why
Asia
every
is also
country
going in the
fucking
same
hates us.
direction as the
Yeah.
EU. I just believe that
Yeah.
Asia doesn't want to say that they're a part of Europe because they still have those boundaries of, hey, that's Europe, this is Asia. So I believe they're both kind of going in the right direction. Africa, I feel like that they are starting to progress. I just feel like that there's so much things that they have to go past as far as disease, famine, hunger, and those kind of things. It's going to take Africa quite a bit of while to kind of catch up. But I believe that they're on their path to do so. And South America, with them, I don't know too much about them, so I can't really say anything about them. I wish I could. I just don't know enough about them. But I believe that as far as America goes, I believe that we're headed towards either a revolution or a revolt that's going to kind of base our outcome.
Fuck
But,
America. I'm American, but I.
But I would say that I do
Bad
support
and
America,
all,
and I do
bad
support
and
whatever kind of we're going into
How?
because
Why?
I support
mean, we're independent and like
I
we're
support-
awesome and like.
I love America.
but
I hate
like,
the government.
Fuck,
But
like,
the
we're
thing
so
is
selfish.
I know which
We
side I'm
have
on.
a-
I know which side I'm on.
We have
I know
all
which
the
side I'm
fucking
on, and I know
money,
which
like,
side, if a
fuck,
revolt
like,
or revolution does come, I know which side I'm going to fight for. And it's not going to be the corporation side because I believe that with corporation
We have
comes
fucking superstars,
core
and
power.
fucking rap stars, and,
And
fucking
so-
movie stars, which we idolize.
that's where I believe. Rachel, what do you believe?
Yeah, let's hear what Rachel thinks
It's
about.
What do you
so
believe
fucking
about-
sinful
What
to
was
fucking
Jerry's
have
question
that. Like,
again?
what the
What was your
fuck?
question again, Jerry?
Like, we
What was
actually
this?
idolize other human beings. Like, we are so fucking sinful. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
So what do you believe that the projection of America is going to be?
That we're fucking selfish?
What's that
what's-
gonna cause?
what's that gonna cause?
like-
Well, obviously, because the whole world fucking hates us, right?
Yeah.
We're the fucking Antichrist, right?
Is that
Maybe.
because of America or because of Donald Trump?
America. It's because of America. It's how Americans have acted ever
Yeah.
since. I don't know, ever since Columbus, like fucking, like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
I can feel you
like,
there. I
fucking,
can
like,
feel you
yeah, like, that's why they
100%
fucking
there.
hate us.
Ah, yeah, I can feel you there. And
every other country
I feel
is
like-
so fucking grounded and so fucking, I don't know, like, they're
Yeah.
so fucking different than us.
And you
We
can
just think
extra
we're
probably
better than
feel the
everybody.
whole, like, how, I feel like your perspective, you can feel how Americans have really fucked a lot of people out of a lot of things, you know, like,
Yeah.
especially, like,
Dude,
I don't know. If you could just if you can explain
I've
some of
been
your
here a long
perspective,
time. I've
yeah.
been here a fucking long time. So, like, I fucking love
And
the
what-
planet.
what-
I love the fucking earth. Like, I love
So
fucking
you're a
outer
Native
space.
American. What tribe are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
Navajo.
Navajo?
He hasn't told you? Like,
No,
what the
I
fuck?
know. I just want the people to know. You know, I know. It's just I just want the people to hear. But
Oh, okay.
but if you'd like just
Yeah,
if you'd
no.
like to fucking go upon that, like, and like, I don't know, just how you feel about that, you know, like.
I don't know.
Like-
I fucking love the earth. Like, I wish. I'm fucking drunk right now. I fucking wish everybody would just take fucking care of it, you know?
Uh-huh.
And, like, love one another. That's what a fucking family is for. Like, oh my gosh. I don't fucking know. Like, there should be no fucking money. I don't know.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, like how you feel, like, do you think most Americans in general, you know, have that kind of Columbus mindset of just like,
Yeah. Because most fucking Americans are white. So fucking, of course, okay, I know. I'm a quarter white. I'm like 75% Navajo.
uh-huh,
So fucking, I mean, I still have some less sort of white in me, which, like, I don't know, I can kind of relate to, but I don't know.
Just-
It relates back to the beginning. They don't need to think they're, like, better than everyone, you know?
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
Because, I don't know, when, like, fucking, like, white, like, it's probably, like, older people, like, in their fucking 60s, 70s, 80s, that, like, ooh,
Yeah.
especially the older men, ooh, that fucking come up to me at work, and, like, they're fucking just rude to me,
So
and then I'm just like, what the fuck, like, fuck you, like, what the fuck, and they, like, don't
Yeah.
even look at me, like, just because I'm brown or something, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you're, like, 80 or 90, and, like, you're still racist. Like, what the fuck? Just because I'm brown? Or, like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, what the fuck?
just stuck in their ways.
I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
America's
know.
so shitty. Why do so many people try so hard to come here?
I don't know.
well, it's that balance, you know. I think America can be the best place in the world for somebody to be, and it could be. And it's all relative, you know, and it depends on what you like, you know, because America could be the best place in the world for one person, and, like, somebody who wants to do something in technology or, like, build a fucking business or something, but for somebody who doesn't really care for all that and somebody who wants to just, like, kind of
Be
like
resourceful.
not even that, because technology that can be resourceful, you know. It's
Yeah.
technology, that's all resourceful.
Yeah.
It's all resourceful. It's everything's resourceful that you do, and I think that somebody who just wants to, like, kind of chill, you know, just kind of like, if they think that their purpose is just to cruise along and observe and just have a blast, you know, like have a good time, you know, and even if you want to have a regular fucking job and be a fucking regular nigga and just fucking, cause, like, even working with these construction guys, you know, like, and I'm not, like, I don't want to be a construction worker for my life, you know, but, like, working with these construction guys, most of them are happy. I feel like most of them are happy. Most of them. And, like, me and Alex were talking about earlier today, like, every job I've had, I've learned such life lessons from, but these construction workers have such a mindset about them, like, and such a, just, like, they're so efficient, and, like, work smarter, not harder, you know, like, you fucking, like, they're just, like, they've been like, these guys who've been doing it for 20 years and, like, 10 years, you know, even guys that are just a few years older than me and been doing it since they're, like, 16, and they're probably, like, 23. That's still a long time, you know, like,
Yeah.
like, and you've learned a lot through that whole experience, and, like, everything that you learn in work or in fucking life and like anything, it can relate to anything, you know. It's all fucking like it's all the same. At least I think, like, especially learning flow toys like spinning poi and spinning the staff and learning construction and just learning anything. Everything is the fucking same. Learning it all. Learning it, it's just dedication and fucking really being interested. That's the one thing that's gotten me, because I cannot learn anything that I'm not interested in. That's one thing that's kind of fucked me through school and high school, like all that, you know. And now that I look back, I really see the subjects that I was interested in, see the things that I took back. Like, I'm really interested in the rocks. I remember going on that camping trip with you guys recently. Like, I was recalling on so much energy that I had, like, from back when I was a fucking kid, and that, like, my teachers taught me, you know. I just, like, I almost wanted to cry, because, like, so many teachers taught me so many fucking things that it's just fucking, it's amazing, you know, the work people put into people, you know. And I'm going all over the place here. I don't even know where I started, but, like, but
yeah, I remember you talking about the metamorphosis rocks and the
igneous
rocks.
Dude, I love rocks, dude, and that's why I want to get
Sedimentary.
I want to get a little bit more into that, you know, and like learn a little bit more about that shit, you know, and like I love science, you know. That's one subject I was always good at, and I love science and history. Those are two things that I always loved, because 1 year in 8th grade. 8th grade was a kind of odd year for me, but I had this teacher. I had two teachers. I had one teacher, Mr. Robertson. He was my science teacher, and I was fucking up all through the year. Like, halfway through the year, he was just such a cool guy. He was so accepting towards everybody, you know, that like, and I was really interested in everything he was talking about. I was paying attention, just interested as fuck. I just didn't want to do the homework. And then I fucking sat down and actually did one of the assignments one time, which was just kind of like a free writing assignment about just like kind of like an assignment where you just kind of go off and fucking theorize about some shit, you know. And just because he was a down motherfucker, he was basically saying, like, write a story about how you would go on like a fucking like space expedition, or like go to Mars or some shit. And I wrote all about it. And when I get flowing, you know, in something, you know, it's just like I can't stop. So I wrote, you were supposed to write a piece of paper front and back, you know, a page, like just regular like notebook paper. And I wrote like 4 pages. Just because I couldn't stop, you know. And I just couldn't, you know. I just kept fucking going. And and then I had a F in that class, and they raised it to a C. And fucking then I raised it all the way, because I was failing every single class. Every single class. Like, no joke. No fucking joke. Like, I didn't give one fuck. Not one. Not one, dude.
Not one.
Fucking, it was ridiculous, you know. And I knew I could do it. I just didn't want to. I was paying too much attention to skateboarding and all kinds of other stuff. And like, science was cool, but like I was just on my own shit at that point, you know. I felt like. And yeah, that guy, he really just showed me how somebody could, like, really just recognize, like, what you're doing, you know, and recognize, like, the work you, like, the actual passion, you know. And then I had this history teacher, Miss Richmond. She's a fucking amazing person, and, like, she was just so goddamn enthusiastic about her work, you know, and like she was from Texas, like Houston, Texas, I'm pretty sure. And she
Accent.
was, oh yeah, accent, dude. I loved it, dog. It was so fucking sick, dog. And like, and it made me so enthusiastic about like this country and everything because like she was telling me U.S. history in this like deep Southern accent, and like she told it like a fucking like story, you know, like, and she would use her hands and like just like get into it. She was passionate about what she did, and she was like. She was just a raw motherfucker. I could tell she wasn't bullshitting us, you know, like you could feel somebody, you know, and like I really connected with that.
Really awesome.
Yeah, and I was failing her class for a long time, and then one time I just like I don't know, I really decided to really like, because I was paying attention, you know, I loved the stories, you know, I was just like, what, this is cool, like, this chick's just getting down, telling, it was basically like a fucking podcast about some dope fucking shit, you know, and,
like Mrs. Blackburn, I love Mrs. Blackburn and cocktails.
She was just such a pimp, and I really started to improve in her class, and she really recognized, like, what I had to offer, and she really like those teachers, you know, they really showed me like there was a lot of teachers who told me that I was gonna end up working at McDonald's and like doing a lot of shit I actually did, you know, and doing like and they and like that's kind of weird, but like there was a lot of like because my first job was McDonald's, you know, and there was teachers who like
Oh my gosh.
I was not good to, you know, were like there was teachers who weren't good to me as well, you know. I don't think school in the sense of like how it is now is really how it should be. I think it should be really, really different. And who's to say I know, but I don't know. There's just been there's amazing people. I just went all over the fucking world right now.
One cool thing I just want to add, because you just went there, that just brought me up, is so I had a friend who was going to college for, I can't even remember it. It was like a social something. But it was about the ways that social economies and social gatherings change. And so, like, he was telling me a lot of stuff about that he learned in school, where, like, one thing that, like, kind of blew my mind is he was talking about how, you know, we moved here from England to make America, and then once America grew from sea to sea, there was so much land to be covered that there were so many different, like, so-called tribes, you know, or so cities or states, you know, whatever you want to call them. They just all were different because, you know, as people went to different places, you know, they had different ways of talking or they had different things of saying, and so, like, it's like we moved here and we learned English and we are American, but there's different Americans and there's different Englishes and all that kind of stuff, where, as you know, if you go and live in New York, you're going to speak English, but you're going to speak English in a New York accent. If you go down to Florida, you're going to speak English, but you're going to speak in a Floridan accent. If you go to New Orleans, you're going to speak with a Southern accent. If you go to speak in Texas, you're going to speak with a Texan accent. You know, if you speak in the West Uintas, like Utah and Colorado and stuff, you're going to say words different than other places. You know, if you live in California, you're going to... That's why a lot of people... Like, when I talk on the phone, a lot of people say, you're a surfer dude, huh? You know, like, because you're on the western coast, you know, and you're talking to somebody on the east coast that says it different, you know, like, oh, okay, what was this one? Okay, Thursday, I worked yesterday. And I was talking to this dude for about 30 minutes on a phone call. The way he said area was R-E-A. Or like something weird like that did not sound anything like area. And the first 3 times he said it, and it was like, R-E-A. Aria, you know, and I was like, what? And he's like, the aria of the screen where it's like, says the time, and I'm like, oh, the area of the screen? He's like, yeah, the aria. And I was like, oh, okay, we're talking in the same English, but we're talking in different accents. Okay. So that's one cool thing about, like he told me all about that, and it, like, when he told me it made so much sense, because, like, you know that, you know. We all know that. We all know that different parts of the country speak different Englishes, but it's all the same English. But like, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, you know. And now that I think I was barely starting my job as a phone support agent back then. And now that I've been a phone support agent for 2.5 years, and then I had 6 months, about 8 months before that, so I've been, you know, almost 3.5 years at this stuff. It's like, it's so cool because like my first 1.5 years working phone support, I only worked with people on the East Coast, you know. So like they always called me a surfer dude. Because they're like, you're from California, huh? And I'm like, no, I'm from Utah, you know? And they're like, oh, well, it's pretty much California, you know? You're on the West Coast, you know? Like, people on the East Coast think that anything west of Ohio is West Coast, you know? It's all the same. But we're still different from Californians, you know? Californians still have different contexts and things than we do. And, like, it was kind of cool that 1.5 years working with East Coast people because I kind of got used to the accent, you know, that they have. And it's like, I can't even give you an example, but like the way New Yorker people talk and like people from Massachusetts and fucking like Maine, they all have this weird accent that like I got so used to. And now that I work with people, and I work with people in Canada, I work for Canada and US, so like it's kind of cool because like I got so used to the people on the East Coast that now like I talk to people that talk the same as me, and I'll talk to people from Utah, and I'm like, oh, you know, and I'll have the same thing. But then, like, I'll talk to people from the East Coast, and they'll say words so weird, and I'm like, oh, well, like, I have to kind of...
Canadians also?
But I also talk to Canadians, and that's the weirdest, because, like, they'll be like, all right, so you want me to turn off my computer, eh? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, all right, cool, eh? I just turned it off, eh? And I'm like, whoa, you keep saying, hey, dude, like, that is weird, dude. And then you talk to people
say that
like,
to him, whoa.
And then you talk to people like, because in Canada, half of Canada speaks French.
Oh,
and so you talk to a lot of people with a French accent. And it's like I'm talking to somebody in fucking France, and I'm like, what the fuck are you saying right now? And like some like there's been a couple like grandmas or like grandpas that I'll talk to that live in Canada, and they'll have such a thick French accent that like they're used to talking French that it's like I'll talk to them and they'll be like, hold on, let me put on my grandson, you know, my grandson knows how to talk English, he'll talk to you. And so then they talk to me, and I'm like, and they have like a French accent, and I'm like, oh, you know, like I can understand you, but oh, your grandma is French. That's why I couldn't understand a fucking word that she was saying.
Damn.
Like, oh, Canadians are weird though. And here's another cool thing: is the first time they gave me a Canadian or it's not a zip code because the zip code is American, which is also American as a postal code, which is a zip code. But in Canada, it's only a postal code. You don't have a zip code, you have a postal code.
Oh, okay.
Because zip code, it means numbers. Postal code is like your area. Like your postal, like the way their postal
Mail.
office, yeah, gives it to you. And so in Canada, it's a letter, word, letter, or number, letter, number, letter, number, letter. So like in Toronto, it's like 3M9, 9M3, you know, it's like, and so the first time somebody gave me that, I was like, what's your zip code? And they gave me that, and I was like, wait, what? Because I'm like, that's one thing, I don't want to repeat who I work for. Maybe I've said it before, but I'm not going to say it, because like, their training is like, dude, you didn't get me prepared for someone to give me like numbers and letters in their fucking zip code, you know, like, what? The first like 3 times I was like, whoa, but now like, I see the consistencies in it, and so whenever I ask somebody where they live, I ask for their postal code, and so Americans sometimes will get thrown off by it, you know, they're like, what? And I'm like, your postal code, and they're like, oh, okay, so then they give me their numbers, but like when I ask a Canadian for their postal code, boom, they just give it to me, you know, so
Damn.
I don't know.
What the fuck?
I don't even know, dude.
It was cool, like, and that's what's cool is like, you know, I progressed from working for people on the East Coast of America to working with people all over America and Canadians now. And so,
Should we go spin some fire?
Yeah.
Is that alright?
Yeah, let's call it.
all right, well,
Fucking,
have a good night, everyone.
Much love, everybody. We're gonna go
Thanks
spin
for
some
listening.
fire.
Bye.
Peace out. Thanks
Peace.
for listening.
Much love.